Many thanks for choosing us. At least 5 people have suffered gunshot wounds, with many others recovering from different injuries at Bibiani in the Western North region. The Regional Police Command says it has begun investigations into a demonstration by the youth which resulted in the incident. The aggrieved youth were protesting to stop the chief of Sefiriaso from performing some rites at the Mensing gold mine to kickstart operations. The protest turned violent, resulting in the firing of the shots. Here's an account of an eyewitness.
The reason we are not allowing this is that the arrangement we had with the state is not complete. Thus, the gold cannot be removed. Until they sit with the elders to resolve what the community needs, we won't agree. The paramount chief is asking them to remove the gold, but the people of the town are in disagreement. The president of the National House of Chiefs called for reinforcement, and the police are here now.
The Bibiani Divisional Police Commander ACP James Amwakwe-Chamfo says the service will not condone any illegal protest and warns the youth that anyone caught will be dealt with.
There are laws that cover the land, so make sure you do not do anything illegal. And just so you know, if the lawmakers catch you, you won't be spared. So my advice is that if someone asks you to do something illegal, do not be swayed, because once you are caught, the police won't help you.
Lands Minister Abu Jinapo has also been speaking on the matter. Listen. We'll be bringing you back that story and tell you what the minister and commander of the Bibiani police are saying about this incident that has gotten 5 people with gunshot, with several others injured. But now about 5 billion Ghana cedis was paid as bribe in both the private and public sectors in 2021. That's according to the Ghana Statistical Service. In 2021 Ghana Integrity of Public Services Survey, the amount was realized for more than 17.4 million transactions. The report indicates that 26.7% of public sector officials were engaged in acts of corruption, with 9.1% being private sector officials. Here's government statistician Professor Samuel Kobnenim speaking at the launch of the report.
10.3% of our population, of our citizens, the adult population, were offered money ahead of the elections, and they did indicate that 4.2% of them indicated that another family member was offered money for the same. How is this affecting our economy? We quantified it, and it's 5 billion Ghana cedis in the year 2021. What are the next steps? Your Lordship, we hope to collaborate with UNODC, TRAJ, and all the anti-corruption agencies that are in this room and are joining virtually or were not able to join, to have stakeholder engagement, do detailed engagement with the numbers that I've shared, looking at the relationships to nail down the issue of corruption at both the national and the subnational level.
The report also indicates that people aged 25 and 34 are the age group most likely to be paying bribes. So which public officials are taking the bribe and in what sectors of the economy? We have a breakdown for you right on your screens. You will be seeing that the prevalence of bribery total and by level of urbanization 2021, you have 83.8% of the adult population having at least one contact with a public official. And that's you have in urban areas, you have 86.1% and in rural areas, 80.5%. The same research talks about 30 to 55, aged 30 to 55, then 28 to 30, 19 to 28, and then 10 to 19. That's the prevalence rate of bribery. Now, look at the graph there, the bracket 25 to 34 the age bracket of 25 to 34, you realize that the group is most likely to be paying bribes. But look at the breakdown. Between 18 to 24, you have 23.9%. And then so you see that is topping the chart with 29.9%, followed closely by 35 to 49, which is 28.9%, and it's followed by aged 50 to 64, which is 24.2%. And then you have the 65 plus with 17.6%. Now, people with the highest level of education are 1.7 times more likely to pay bribes than people with no formal education. And this is the breakdown. So people with no formal education, you have 23.3%. People with primary education, you have 24.2%. People with secondary education, you have 27.4%. People with post-secondary, non-tertiary education, 27.4%. And those in tertiary education, rather, 40.6%. So you have more than 17.4 million bribes paid in 2021. And the breakdown in urban areas, you have 4.8 out of that. And in rural areas, you had 5.4. And so it shows that there were more bribes paid in rural areas than in urban areas. And if you look at prevalence of bribery in the private sector overall and by level of urbanization in 2021, in Ghana, you have 9.1%. Now you break it down, urban and rural. In the urban areas, you have 8.4%. And in rural areas, you have 10.9%. Again, the rural area is topping the chart. So this is a regional breakdown of the prevalence of bribery in the private sector in 2021. And it is topped by Greater Accra, obviously, followed closely by Western region with 50.0%. And then you look at Western North following that chart. Western North, Ashanti, and Ahafo seem to be on the same page because Western North is 45%, Ashanti is 44.5%, Ahafo is 43.8%. Then when you come to Eastern, it's dropped a little, which is 41%. Then you come to Bono, Central, and the Upper East. Bono and Central are also following each other closely with 33 and 32%. Now in Upper East, you have 25, Savannah, you have 24, Volta, you have 24. They're also following each other there. And then you have the rest spread within the Northern, Bono East, OT, and Upper West. Upper West is the least, which is 11.2%. Now, this is the contact rate by type of public official, which gave the information that we're sharing. And if you look at the chart, you have doctors, nurses, and midwives covering 60.2%. Then followed closely by teachers, lecturers, or professors, which covers 51.3%. Now you have public utility officials following that with 43.2%. Other health workers in public hospital, 28.8%. Police officers, 19.4%. Then you have 12.3% covering elected local government representatives, MMDAs, officials 8.6%, driver vehicle licensing authority 6.4%. It follows in that manner. GRA, tax or revenue officers 5.9%, social security officials 4.0%, and you have the least being the National Intelligence Bureau, which is 0.3%. Now, the charge boss, Joseph Withal, will be joining us with more later in this bulletin. But in the meantime, let's listen to legal practitioner Martin Kwebu on the development he spoke on the AM show.
It's just further confirmation, okay, that corruption is really such a huge problem, and that's putting it very mildly. In actual fact, I belong to the school of thought that it is our biggest problem as a nation. Even before this, you know, the Auditor General's report says that between 2016 and 2020, we lost 48 billion to corruption. That is 48 billion. If we were to convert 48 billion to the old currency, we'll be getting into a trillions of Ghana cedis. So for those who are used to the old currency, so over a trillion, 48 billion, if you convert it to the old, you get a trillion. Okay, so the point is that this report just adds on. People who say corruption is a perception, no, don't live in Ghana. It's always been a problem from Kwame Nkrumah's day to today, except that it's such a shame that we are not able to fight it. Because we have weak leaders, that's the main problem. I think, you see, it's true that we have cultural issues with corruption, okay? Yes, it's embedded in our culture. People will tell you, when you go to the chief's palace, don't go empty-handed and all that. They say that is what has fed into what we are suffering. But with hindsight, I believe it's leadership. They say a fish rots from its head. So where the head itself is rotten, and so I'm quickly coming to the point that yesterday, look, I heard lay people on radio make a certain point, and I buy into it. They said the capital of corruption is the Jubilee House. So this report should be thrown into the dustbin. The capital of corruption is the Jubilee House. That's where real corruption, the big, you know, the millions of dollars, that's where it happens. That is where all the big people are, and that is where they do the biggest deals. So when you are talking about petty corruption, not to undermine it, but it's just that the police, the 10 cities here, 20 cities here, immigration and the rest, it's a joke. The millions of dollars is a Jubilee House.
This afternoon, managers of the COVID-19 National Trust Fund have been attempting to account for donations made towards the fight against infectious coronavirus. According to them, as of June 2022, the fund had received more than 62 million cedis and had disbursed more than 80% to individuals and organizations directly and indirectly involved in the fight. Listen to former Chief Justice Sophia Kufo, who is also chairperson of the COVID-19 Trust Fund.
Consolidated Bank and Commercial Bank, they have been appointed the agents, the receiving agents for Bank of Ghana. So, because they have nationwide coverage, and so monies are paid there into our account. And so most of the time when people would see all those ceremonies, the money has already been paid, and then we're just going through the action. And so as at 30th June 2022, and that was the height of things, we had actually collected, or we had received 62.329, 62,329,941 cedis, 98 pesos. Never forget the pesos, they add up. And particularly at the heat of matters, we had also received a range of in-kind donations, sanitizers, cleansers, cleansing equipment, various types of dry foods, drinks, you name it. We received rice, pasta, and so on and so forth. And then quite a number of vehicles. We received quite a number of vehicles. And this sets out the various types of in-kind gifts that we received, even fuel coupons and so on and so forth. And some of the use to which we put the fuel coupons were that when we made donations and the organization to which the donation is being made, the hospital, the testing center, or whatever, if they had to come in from out of town, we helped them with their transportation, with the giving them some of the coupons.
And in our Living Standard series, commercial drivers are struggling to pay school fees for their children and keep food on the table due to low sales brought on by a hike in fuel prices and spare parts. Mamisi Nyamiche Thompson has more in the latest episode of the Living Standard series.
School kola fees no me ba anyo mu nyina mienu de na mintia ba ko pani ni de pe na metia adwuma ni move sisi aka ura sesa na yi de di gba ko ma wo fi o
fuel asem no en na sesi driver ni bia kan je won war driver ni so war driver ni nkwan ade a bon se fuel asem no de de pa
na fuel ni nko so ne de na chop money ni de etamu tuku ba sisi ande aba form ni nyina ko che fuel ni.
Richard Nanadako Frimpong is one of the drivers at Accra Tema Educrum station. Since he reported to work at 5 a.m., it's 1 p.m. and it's still not Richard's turn to load up his vehicle. Business has been slow for a while, but Richard started loading after we got there.
And I mean Kobe, me do how much 5. Me load.
Today I'm yet to make a trip. There are many cars lined up to go, and so until it's my turn, I can't move.
Richard has been driving for more than 6 years to feed his family. But this year, high fuel and maintenance costs are gradually eroding his sales. Richard tells me his trips of about 4 a day have been reduced to 1.
170 cedis.
When fuel was cheaper, I used to make about 170 cedis a day for my master. But with the increase in prices, I now have to make 200 cedis, sometimes 220, before I also buy fuel and pay my mates.
I said, oh, I was 20 Ghana. That's also fuel.
His work troubles are now affecting his ability to pay his children's school fees and other domestic responsibilities.
I have 3 children, but I have paid school fees for only 1. The work is not moving. Now I have to take out of my sales so I can provide money to feed my home.
Richard's conductor, Minta, is at the receiving end of the situation. Recent low sales have impacted his wages. His wage is now dependent on the income of the day.
These days, work is slow. I used to be paid well, but now most of the money is used to buy fuel.
Sometimes, to make ends meet, Minta has to pocket some coins to eat.
Sometimes there is change, so I keep that for water, food, and other expenses. So when I'm paid 30 cedis a day, I save 20 and add the 10 cedis I took to the other 10 to make 20 cedis for other things.
65-year-old Openyin Kwapna Mensah, popularly known as Holla has been driving for 40 years to fend for his family. Like his colleague Richard, he also has been waiting his turn to load when I got there. He also laments the high fuel prices.
Fuel and I say, drive any beer, can you want to drive any? So, what are driving in Canada? Once the fuel as some of the adding power. Say, what? Says Yanasa, because the gallon net, yeah, I use 4 gallons in and out. The 4 gallons in and out.
Every driver is affected by the high fuel prices. The fuel finishes very fast. My car uses 4 gallons for a daily round trip. So I buy an amount of 250 cedis, but I only get 160 cedis from the passengers. That means I have to add 90 cedis to make up for the loss. I do not make any profit.
20 Ghana. Inti sa na manager inti say no cancer na ke ko gina fuel na ya fill tank no ye ntumi ye bio.
Holla still fends for his grown children because they have no jobs. The challenging economic situation is taking a toll on his sales and his ability to fulfill that responsibility. Even a recent reduction of fuel prices by some 3 pesos was inadequate to cushion him.
And what can I feel about 2 days? Say no, to say I'm also right now about 60-70 Ghana.
I cannot even stay at home for 2 days. I have to provide at least between 60 to 70 cedis a day for home upkeep. I have 5 children, so I cannot even afford to stay home.
What I say? Fear the would you one day and say, I didn't go, Papa. I didn't. First, not getting to that.
Family of late former President John Fifi Atamil says what killed him must not be an issue 10 years after his passing. They say what matters now is for his memory to be honored by Ghanaians. According to brother of the former president Samuel Atamil, what led to his brother's death is sinus and not foul play, as people have suggested over the years. In an exclusive interview with JoyNews, the KEEA legislator said making the autopsy of Professor Mills public will not solve any problem confronting Ghana.
Anybody who is coming after 10 years to ask for an autopsy report, obviously there must be something wrong with that person. What is his business asking about the autopsy report? Is he a family member? Is he the family head? I'm a blood brother of the president. We are satisfied what killed him. We have a copy of the autopsy report. AMA has a copy of the autopsy report. 37 Military Hospital has a copy of that autopsy report. So what is his business asking this? Look, don't try to divert anything. What is wrong is wrong. What is wrong is wrong. No matter who you are, you cannot touch somebody's grave without informing the family.
But what does the report say if you want to help Ghanaians?
The report doesn't say anything. That they stated what killed him. That was it. They stated what killed him. Why is everybody so much interested in what killed Professor Mills? Providing the autopsy report will not solve any problem.
But most especially, this one was also surrounded with a lot of controversies. People were citing several things that might have led to his death, and that's why I think people are asking for the autopsy. So will it be out of place if you tell the people that this is what happened?
Sir, I was with President John Ivansata Mills on daily basis. I was there right before he woke up, and I left only when he fell asleep. All the hospital visits that he went on, I was there with him. All the visits, I was there with him. Now, he was a president, so I wasn't well known, and I liked it that way, because there were so many things that I could do for him that I could walk into anybody's office and get any information because they didn't know who I was. We are satisfied with what killed him. He had had a sinus problem. If anybody cares to know, that was around 2015 or 2005, 2006, around that time. And it was that thing that had kept on for some time. And so he had to go for chemotherapy and he had to go for radiotherapy. And with all those complications, those were all part of it. And we are satisfied. There was no foul play. And anybody who will talk about foul play probably knows something that we don't know.
Members of Parliament have meanwhile been eulogizing former President John Evansatta Mills on a day what would have been his 78th birthday. According to Northern MP Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, the former president has special qualities which current political leaders must imbibe and lead the country on the path of progress. Correspondent Kweku Asante joins us with details of that. Kweku, what has other MPs been saying regarding the statement made by the Northern MP? Hello, Kweku Asante. Kweku Asante, if you can hear me, what are other MPs saying with regards to the statement made by the Northern MP? There seems to be a connection problem. Kweku Asante, can you hear me? Hello, Kweku. There seems to be a connection problem. We'll try and get Kweku back on to tell us more on what MPs have been saying about the former president, President Mills, who will be celebrating his 10th anniversary soon. For years, he has been a familiar voice on your radio and TV sets, but it's a voice you may not be hearing anytime soon because DCOP Samuel Kwisifori, who was until a few hours ago Director General Public Affairs Directorate of the Ghana Police Service, has hung his booth. He's gone on retirement. Wednesday, the Ghana Police Service held what it calls a pull-out ceremony for the affable police officer who has been in the service for well over 30 years.
Comes to an end, and today is my last as a serving police officer. Sir Robert Peel, a great British statesman and father of modern-day policing, once said, "The police are the public and the public are the police. You are the reason why we do what we do, to serve you, to protect life and property." We join the police service because we want to make a difference for our communities, for our families, for victims of crime, for the helpless, and for struggling souls, and that stumble through the very worst of their lives. It was never about pecuniary benefits, power, or fame. It was for the adventure and for the painful privilege of venturing into the hectic rare places where we want to restore harm.
We can now go back to Kweku Asante, our parliamentary correspondent, who's been monitoring members of parliament who are eulogizing former President Mills on his 10th anniversary since he died. Kweku Asante, what more have other MPs been saying regarding the statement that was made by the Northern MP? Kweku Asante, if you can hear me, what are other MPs saying about the late President Mills, who's... Hello, Kweku Asante. The line has not been fixed. Oh. Kweku Asante, can you hear me?
I'm saying the former president record as a man of peace and as a man of a person who led the economic transformation of the country within the time he served as president has been extolled by MPs. According to Majority Leader Seche Mensah-Bonsu, the former president was someone who listened. Even when he was the minority leader, there were several times he could go to him and discuss matters that bordered on parliamentary democracy, and he always lent a listening ear. Also, Patrick Boama-Okakwe, Central MP, has been talking about the former president's development of sports in the country, particularly hockey. He's been talking about how he thinks that without the former president's contribution, it would have been difficult to have the development we've had in terms of hockey. Also, Haruna Idris, the minority leader, is reiterating calls to rename some public universities and some state institutions after the former president. He notes in particular University of Health and Allied Sciences.
What exactly has Okujetua Blakwa been saying?
So the Honorable Okujetua Blakwa spoke about the president's timeliness, his incorruptibility in what he thinks that other Ghanaian leaders would have to emulate and take the country to the next level.
Has there been issues, response to issues concerning his grave? Recently, there's been accusations that his grave has been tampered with. The officials managing the grave say it is not true. What have they been saying about that?
So that did not come up on the floor. Rather, and other people wanted themselves to the key issues in terms of celebrating the life of the former president. And that is what they did. Indeed, it is expected that the issues regarding the graves will be centerpiece within the week, because over the weekend, the former president, it would have been a decade, 10 years since the former president passed on. And so that issue will come up strongly. But on the floor, the MPs wanted to limit themselves to the record of the man and also what he did as president.
What else is happening in Parliament, Kwekwa Asante?
So, the Defense and Interior Committee is presenting their report on the violence that happened in Islamic Senior High School in Kumasi, where some police involved. There was some discharge of tear gas and other things. The committee is just laying this report. It's expected that it will be debated by MPs and a decision will be taken going forward.
Kwekwa Asante is our parliamentary correspondent. We'll still bring you more from Parliament in our subsequent bulletins. Right now, let's take a break on Joy News today. When we return, we'll bring you more in business.
Hello, welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. In our first story, the Ghana Standards Authority has been raising issues with the poor handling of eggs and talking about its risks to consumers. There's more from a workshop held in the Ashanti region.
The two-day workshop was attended by over 150 poultry farmers and eggs vendors in the Ashanti region. The workshop, organized by the Ghana National Eggs Campaign Secretariat in collaboration with the Ghana Standards Authority, educated participants on international standards of handling eggs. Speaking on the general requirements of eggs, Samuel Kwetia of the Ghana Standards Authority indicated vendors and buyers must assess the weight, color and neatness of eggs.
We have a standard on egg, and then as a normal practice, after the standard has been developed, we seek to promote it. It's one of the mandates of GSE. So with the help of the Ghana National Egg Campaign Secretariat, we came here to sensitize those in the egg industry, or let me say the egg value chain, to know the standard on egg and then the requirements that they need to meet to be able to meet a standard on egg. So GSA is also an agency that is there to facilitate trade, and standards are mainly for trade facilitation. So if the stakeholders in the industry are able to meet what is required of an egg through the standards, they're able to promote their egg and then also help the consumers in Ghana and then anyone who actually consumes egg.
Coordinator of the Ghana National Eggs Campaign Secretariat, Comfort Echampo, indicated standardization of eggs would allow for exports to regional and international markets.
Per chance, some of our farmers are to sell across borders. They can get the certification and then be able to sell outside and get some foreign exchange. That is the main aim of doing this. And it was done in connection with stakeholders in the country. Different stakeholders were invited to form a committee that worked on the 3-year egg standard.
National Chairman of the Ghana Poultry Farmers Association, Victor Oponweje, reiterated the need for farmers to better handle eggs.
And next, the African Development Fund has approved an amount of $11 million for the Secretariat of the African Continental Free Trade Area to support the implementation of the trade agreement. Here's more.
The African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat opened its doors in Accra on August 17, 2020, with initial support of $5 million to set it up, as well as supporting its programs and providing tools to raise stakeholder awareness. The world's second largest free trade area has a potential market of 1.2 billion consumers, but Africa has the world's lowest level of intra-regional trade at less than 18%, compared with 22%, 50% and 70% for Latin America, Asia and Europe respectively. The AFCFTA aims to increase theirs by up to $35 billion per year over a decade, lower annual imports by $10 billion and boost agriculture and industrial exports by up to $45 billion and $21 billion. This second phase of support continues to aim to encourage sustainable intra-African trade and to increase the share of African countries participating in it. It is also intended to move the African trade integration agenda forward by enabling the Secretariat and the countries of zone, especially transition countries, to harmonize and integrate national and regional trade policy initiatives. The support will be structured under three components: institutional strengthening of the AfTA Secretariat, private sector support to implement the AfTA, and support of climate-resilient regional and continental value chains to boost intra-African trade.
All right, that's it for business. There's more coming up on the marketplace. Up next, sports. Don't go anywhere.